Alrighty, what we have here is the first version of the easy-to-use coil gun. Right now I have it on some breadboard, some prototyping board here. Okay. This piece here is the actual coil gun. As you can see, there's a coil. We use 26 gauge wire to make the wraps, but I'm not going to tell you how many wraps there are because I'm definitely going to keep count. Basically, this here is just some antenna tube that we got from an old antenna that we didn't have anymore. It's pretty thin. It's made of brass, and so it doesn't retain much of a magnetic field. Therefore, it's a good tube to use, and it's quite strong. These are individual switches to control the chargers. The chargers themselves, I can get to them. I can't get to them. They are just normal camera chargers for the flash capacitors you'd find in a disposable camera. And each one of these banks here, I've got 4 capacitor banks here, each with 5 capacitors. They're rated 330 volts at about 120 US. Each bank, they're all made of photo flash capacitors that you can get out of any disposable camera anyway. Basically, I've got it all wired up in series and parallel and all that nice complicated mess. Each one of these chargers is powered by one AA battery. I charge them each cell individually just because I don't have any complicated electronics on here or any components, relays and such, transistors and stuff like that. I just want to keep it simple. So it takes some time to charge. So I'm going to charge right now and then I'll do that and we can test fire. And we're back, and as you can see, they are charged. I've got blinking lights on there from the camera. They're using the same chip, so it would make sense that they'd have the same lights. So yeah, they're charged now, as you can see. Let me move the camera here on my laptop, actually. Yeah, if you've got something else to do this with, I suggest it because you don't want projectiles falling into your laptop screen. That would, I hope you wouldn't. As you can see, I've got a setup here. I've got a box to catch the ammunition in. I've got a can. As you can see, I've already done one test fire. It's shot through the sentry point here and actually came out the other end. Right there, I'm not sure if you can see that, but it actually made a punch. It's a blunt object. I'm not using any sharpened objects. It's got a tiny tip, as you can see, a tiny dent in the middle of that. Basically, I'll set the can right inside here. Now, in the back of it, it actually does tend to keep going. So I'm going to move something back here just to make sure that it doesn't go into the wall behind it. Alright. So now that I got it charged, I will now show you the ammunition I use. That is a small tapered pin about the size of the tubing that I've got. You want to make sure that it fits as perfectly as possible. And to load it, I've just got something else as well. Now, the positioning of the projectile inside the tube is key. If you've got it too far in, it's not going to go anywhere except towards the center. And if you've got it too far back, it won't move either. You've got to get it right in the middle there. And then, just position your target and fire. Well, I'm sure some of you are actually wondering what exactly happens if you happen to touch something on the setup that you got, if you have all those capacitors in line. Basically, it requires something over 1,000 volts to try to get the coil gun to do pretty much anything you'd like it to do. Anything less, and it's just a little tiny pea shooter you're going to do, I don't know, nothing with. So if you really want to make the projectile go fast, you're going to have to use a lot of volts. Or the giant capacitor, or just many capacitors in a line like I have. So the next clip actually is just me being an idiot and not having anything taped and actually touching something I wasn't supposed to touch at the moment. So enjoy. Normal flash charger on a camera, you'll see that these are the same bulbs that we use off the chip here. So they're charged, and now I'll just position the ow. Whoa. Yeah, don't touch that thing. Well, that's what happens. I touched it and I got zapped by over 1,300 volts. Luckily, that's not a lot of amps, so I mean, I didn't get hurt. But if it had been a lot of amps, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now. So just make sure you've got every contact that could possibly give off, say, a kilovolt or two, taped up, and then you won't have any problems.